Hi everybody, so this is an essay question. It's 20 marks, you can see here, and all of these begin with the word evaluate. So it says evaluate the benefits of economic growth to the UK, given that a number of concerns remain in the UK economy. And we'll have a look shortly at this extract and what's raised there about these concerns. Now, when you're answering this, there are various things that you have to do because it says evaluate. So you need to make sure as you're going along that you are making a point, you're explaining your point, you are applying to the case study, and then sometimes you are evaluating, you're doing your thinking. Also, because it says evaluate, we must have a conclusion. You need to give a judgment at the end. And on top of that, you must also make sure that you're doing exactly what the question asks you to do. So it says here, evaluate the benefits. So we're going to have to give the benefits of economic growth for the UK. However, we've also got to consider this, given that a number of concerns remain in the UK economy. This is really fundamental in the answer. If you don't address that, then you can't get the full 20 marks because that is a fundamental part of answering it. So at the beginning, I would start with a definition of economic growth. So it's an increase in the output of goods and services over a period of time in the economy. And then, like all 20-mark questions, I would do a diagram so that you can hang your answer off the diagram. So I would show economic growth. I would use an ADAS diagram to do this. Remember, you learnt about this in theme 2. There are 2 labels here, and there are 2 labels here. And then we'll draw a Keynesian long-run aggregate supply curve so that there's more for us to talk about if needs be. So that is your long-run aggregate supply curve. And then if we just show economic growth due to an increase in aggregate demand, so AD, and then, in fact, I might put it up here so that it shows a bit of inflation in case I want to talk about that, and then AD1. And then make sure that you put in your equilibriums and label these correctly. So your first equilibrium and your finishing equilibrium, and then here as well, and the first one we don't need another dotted line because it would just be there. So then we can put on here, we did have this price level little p, now we've got little p1, and our income expenditure output was at y, now it's at y1. So you can see going from here to here our real output has gone up. What you'll need to do then in the answer, before we actually look at what's written in the case study about the concerns, is that you'll need to write about these benefits of economic growth. And I would hang it off the diagram. So if you draw the diagram first, and then you can go through some of the things that happen. So for example, as incomes go up from y to y1, this could be one of your points. You could say incomes go up, then you could say the standard of living goes up. And you can give examples of why people's standard of living goes up if they have higher income. So for example, they may be able to afford better housing, they might be able to afford some luxuries, they might be able to go on holiday every year or more often, that sort of thing. So that would be an example of how that would happen. A way that you could evaluate that point would be to say that the distribution of the increased income may not be done evenly. Some people might benefit much more from the increase in income than others. You could also there talk about, for example, the people who own companies, because they will probably be getting more out of this economic growth than the people who are just receiving an income from the business as an employee. Another point that you could make is that as output goes up from y to y1, this causes unemployment to go down. And you could talk about some people now leaving absolute poverty, perhaps. So if it was somebody who you could argue was living from a food bank, for example, and now they have a job because unemployment has gone down because of this increase in output, then they will no longer be in absolute poverty because they'll be able to afford their everyday needs. I'm going to carry on looking at this in another video.